Okay, good evening, everyone, and welcome to the regular council meeting of Monday, June 24th, 2024. Just a reminder that members of the public can be present in the council chambers during the meeting. And alternatively, public members can observe the meeting via Zoom. And also, please note that the webinar will be recorded and published to the city's YouTube site. The first item on the agenda tonight is adoption of the agenda. And the recommendation is that the agenda for the regular meeting of June 24th, 2024 be adopted with the amendment that the item 6.1 bylaw number 2943, 2024 be deferred to the July 15th, 2024 regular council meeting. Can I have someone make that? Councillor Hanson, Councillor Wilson, all those in favor? Thank you, carried unanimously. The next item on the agenda is the adoption of the minutes. So we have two sets of minutes before you tonight. And the first one is the Governance and Operations Committee meeting of June 10th, 2024, and the regular council meeting of June 10th, 2024. Can I have someone make the motion? Thank you, Councillor Wilson and Councillor Benson. All those in favor? Thank you, carried unanimously. So the next item on the agenda is the public question period, and 3.1. Is there any, at this time I would like to open the floor for questions and input regarding the 2023 annual report. Seeing no one, okay. And the next item on the agenda is the the regular public question period, and just want to clarify because there has been some confusion in the past. This public question period is a question period. It's not time for public input. It's an opportunity for the public to ask questions of council about items ideally discussed at a current meeting, which would be tonight's meeting. And these questions or comments would be appropriate and respectful. Should council feel your questions or comments are inappropriate, you will be asked to step away from the podium, and I will make myself available at the end of the meeting if you wish to continue to discuss the matter one-on-one. If you have any questions that do not pertain to the current meeting, which is tonight's meeting, then please speak to council or staff after the meeting and you can make other arrangements to get your information. So I will open the floor to the regular public question period. Okay. Sir, no one that would like to?
Brennan would like to say something.
Okay,
Yeah.
and this is, okay, go ahead. I need you to come up to the podium, please, and state your name and address.
Sorry, this is my first time to one of these. My name is Brandon Lazarka, from Fruga, BC 2022 Old Sound Road. I've currently been in the homeless scene for a little while, down at the shelter.
I'm sorry, I don't want to be rude or anything, but I can't hear you.
No, you can't?
No.
Okay,
It
so,
just get you to speak a little bit louder.
okay, I'm currently on the streets, downtown Trail.
Okay.
In the homeless scene, and there's been some changes that are gonna be happening, that apply to the rules and regulations of who's gonna be allowed in the new shelter. You gotta kind of be a full-time resident there, following curfew, stuff like that, not a bad thing. But for some of us, that doesn't quite apply, like me, for example, wanting to start my own business there and not being able to make curfew or being evicted every night there because of being out at a job site. You know, if that means no access to like drop-in meals or getting your laundry done. Or even having a shower, you know, there's other places, I guess, the aquatic center. And,
Sorry, so what is your question for tonight, please?
well, there needs to be some changes, I guess, that I don't see happening. It's not so much a question, I guess a statement, more or less, you know, like, I think things need to be handled in a different way, I guess, to fix the problem that we're having on the streets, you know, with fentanyl use and
Sorry, I was just trying to get your first name again, please.
Brandon.
Thank you, okay. So do you have a question for us tonight, though?
Well,
Is this something that we can talk about after the meeting tonight?
well, yeah, I guess, like, I don't know, I've never been to one of these meetings, someone just kind of grabbed me off the street there and said,
Okay. Because it does sound to me like you have some concerns, but I can't answer them tonight.
Yeah,
'Cause
okay.
Okay? So if you want to come by and see me at my office or wait till after the meeting tonight,
yeah. we can
Okay.
Just sit with the meeting and see how it goes
Okay.
there.
so let's do that then. If you want to wait after the meeting, then I'll have a conversation with you, but this isn't the time right now. And I appreciate you coming and, you know, I know you've got some concerns, but I think there's other people that might want to speak as well.
Okay.
Okay, thank you.
Hold on. Hold on.
Did you want to come up to the podium?
I would have been dressed better, but I should be at work. Good evening, councillors, staff, and mayor. My name is Tanya Finley, and I have been asked to attend tonight's city council meeting, as we have requested twice for a delegation and have been ignored. Until this morning, we received that there is a task force that is being operated. My question is at the end. I stand here in absolute disbelief. To me, it is incomprehensible that Trail's trusted and respected elected officials, those that this community rely on to safeguard this community, can so blatantly disregard.
Excuse me, Tanya, please, do you have a question?
I do have a question.
Okay.
Yes, I just would like to have the opportunity.
But the community task force is not on this agenda tonight.
I understand that we received that letter and we've asked for 2 delegations. It's not gonna be long.
Sorry,
Can I have someone else read my letter then? We'll just
No.
take turns.
no, if you have a question,
Okay.
I would appreciate the question.
All right, I will go.
If you have new information for me tonight, I would appreciate the new information.
Okay, so as our elected protectors, we are requesting that you pause the site and the current shelter location. Both
So,
of those.
excuse me, Tanya,
Yes.
we stated this 2 meetings ago, that we're not pausing this. It's
Okay.
not up to the city
So then
trail.
my,
So please hear me out,
I have a question.
okay, please hear me out. It is BC Housing
I
that
understand.
is putting that up, it's not the city trail.
We have been told by the MLA that the city decided the
Well,
location.
then the
So-
MLA has the wrong information, and if they would like to get in touch with me, I'll correct them.
Okay, so my question to the city council then is, section 33 grants that the Canadian Parliament a power to override any certain portions of the Charter of Rights for 5-year terms. This provincial experiment must end. You are the front line of defense for the people, and you have the connections to your MLA and the Minister of Public Safety, and we would like you to use those resources. This situation is not only abusive to the people suffering with addictions, but to the children and residents of Trail that are forced to live and work beside this vicinity of this failed initiative. This pilot project is not only cruel, but disgraceful, and you have the authority to end this. Thank you.
Thank you.
Smirk off your face.
I'm just wondering who made that comment?
Doesn't matter. It's called freedom of speech.
I still don't know who made that comment.
Why? It's called freedom of speech.
Point of order, your worship, if you feel that you've been disrespected, you may ask people to remove themselves from the council.
So I think it's probably appropriate.
When I'm speaking to you,
Did you have a question for council tonight?
I have a question, yes. Specifically,
Sorry, I need your name
Oh,
and address.
Margaret Sherwood, 2080 Riverside Avenue. And when I spoke with yourself, I was a bit surprised to learn that you did not know that the site was going to be an injection and inhalation site. I'm not sure how you can pass that site go there when you don't even know it is what you're passing. To me, that means you need to take it back, and you did pass that spot be there. I was at the council meeting.
Point of order, your worship, this is a question period, can you please get to your question?
How can we then trust you to make decisions for us, for our safety, when you don't even know what it is that you're putting at the end of our street?
And I would suggest that would be a question for BC Housing to answer, if it's going to be a safe, injection site, if that's what you're calling it, it's actually an overdose prevention. Service.
Well, if you could go in there and smoke your drugs and inject them, that would be an injection site.
Yeah.
Okay,
But my question would then be, you say it's BC Housing that we have to speak with. You're the ones that approved that site to go there. So what is your responsibility for it?
well, we actually gave BC Housing the opportunity to use the property, and they are putting in a shelter for 25 people.
Right, you approved that site though. I was at a council meeting, you all
We
voted,
approved the site,
You approved.
yes, we did,
yes.
yeah.
So
We have
then
no
why don't
control.
we have any
We have no
comeback
control.
from you guys?
We have no control over, I shouldn't say we have no control, but we do work with BC Housing to put that shelter in there.
And then my next question would be, how can you call it a temporary shelter when they've already said there's no other place in Trail that a shelter can go? That means it's not temporary. Plus the fact this has taken at least a year to build. So approving that shelter for 1 year is really approving it for 3 to 5, because they haven't even found a spot to talk with yet.
Mhm.
So I think you're doing a disservice to the people when you say it's temporary when it's not.
Well, they call it a temporary shelter. We have signed an agreement, a 1-year agreement, and that comes up again 1 year after the shelter is open, correct me if I'm wrong. So we have until next September, but if we get in this September, we have a year after that.
But you want to have another shelter up, so it's going to stay open for at least another 2 or 3 years.
Okay. Well, I've tried to answer your question the best that I can. If you want to get a hold of staff after the meeting or tomorrow, and they can follow up with it.
Because we don't get any answers from BC Housing. How many months have, like, since this all started, we've been trying to get answers from BC Housing, and we get nothing. If no one will talk to us, how are we supposed to get our questions answered? And how are we supposed to have any respect for the government in place if they won't even speak with us? It's supposed to be a democracy, we're supposed to be listened to, but we're not being listened to. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone have any questions on the agenda for tonight? Is there any new information that you're bringing forward?
Hey, my name's Ron Joseph, most of you know me. Questions more like towards the operating budget. Last year, I own 8 properties in this town. And last year, my taxes went up 15% across the board. And now I hear that there's gonna be a revisit to last year's taxes because an error was made. What's up with that? That's my question. And the other question is, why couldn't you change the meeting till tomorrow? Because it's like game 7 right now.
I know, my question is, what are you doing here tonight, Ron? And I'm going to hand your question over to CAO McClure.
Sir,
Yeah, certainly now, when you say you've got how many properties?
8,
And so as a grand total, you're up 15%?
everyone from 15% or more.
Or more. And again, each property has its own element, because there's a number of levers that go on whether the value went up or went down on.
No, I used to sit right there, okay, right, so I'm just saying a 15% hike, there was many people that had 25%. So, and now we're gonna revisit it and tax us more. I'm just saying, I don't think that's right. My question was like, what was the mistake? It was already went up, whether it's from mill rate increase or valuation increase. You got a windfall, now you're gonna take more. So my question is like, why?
Okay, but when you say we got a windfall, I'm not sure I follow.
Well, you got a 15% tax hike, but
But
I don't have the highest end properties in town.
well, but of course, the property will always calculate on what change was in the assessed value year over year. So if your assessed value went up higher than the average.
But everybody's did, so everybody's taxes went up.
Well, again, if you, sounds like you were in the situation of being a counselor, is that what you're telling me?
Sorry, say that again?
You were a counselor at one time?
Yeah.
Okay, so then you would realize that this year, the residential taxes, the residential assessment actually went down on average, right? It was down 1%.
You know, I was still so upset from last year, I didn't open mine, I'm gonna pay him tomorrow, so
So,
I could be upset by tomorrow.
sure,
Okay,
all right.
thanks.
Thanks, Ron.
Back to the hockey game.
Diana, 2070 Riverside Avenue. And just wondering, if you guys discussed further any, safety measures that you will take to protect us on Riverside when the shelter does open. It's been pretty wild. I woke up to a guy pooping in my front, in the parking lot outside my house today. And yeah, it's been a wild ride, and just wondering if you guys have talked more about safety and what we can do about that. Safety measures, I guess, to protect us. Yeah.
Okay, we were, and you probably have heard that we were down to the shelter. And all of council went.
Okay.
And we are looking at the concerns that you brought forward last council meeting.
Okay.
So we do have a list of concerns that we are working with BC Housing on, and that includes security inside the shelter and outside of the shelter.
Is there any, because your property value decreases statistically 30% neighboring a shelter, you can look it up, it's statistically, that's what happens, your property value goes down 30%. I can't sell my house right now, I just bought it. Is there any kind of tax break from the city? Property taxes for,
Well, if your property dropped 30%, that would certainly result in some tax shifting, because the average decrease like last year was 1%, so you would get a certain tax rate.
did they take that into consideration?
No.
No?
The assessment authority looks at like sales of properties in the area, so you just bought yours recently, and that would probably be, you know, in line with what was set for your assessed value before we paid.
Yeah. All right.
Thanks, Jen.
Marty Malfoy, Fourth Avenue. This is a public meeting, but it seems like you want to control and we can't ask questions and,
No, you can ask questions.
well, you're telling us what we can say, what we can't, and we don't know
Well,
what's, I don't know what's on the agenda
Sorry,
because the
Marty.
meeting is after. Anyway, so you said you can't ask questions, you can't answer our questions tonight, so can we set up a meeting with you tomorrow? And can anybody here be on the task force for,
So I said, if we can't answer your questions tonight, we can set up a meeting,
okay,
or we can, with, staff and myself tomorrow.
can we do that then?
Yeah,
Okay, what time?
I don't know, I have your email address. Can I email you after the meeting once I check my calendar?
Okay.
Okay, and check with staff?
And are you guys available tomorrow? What's a good time for you guys? Are you available tomorrow?
I can't, I'm doing the POS system, but I'm available in the other.
And
we're available to be on the task force.
What's that?
We're available to be on the task force.
Yeah. Or, yeah, people that want to be on the task force. There's people here that want to be on the task force.
Yeah. Sorry, not to interrupt you.
Thank you, worship. I'm under discussions with Tanya about the task force and steps that need to be taken if council considers amending the terms of reference for that task force. So I prefer to take that away from the council meeting tonight, as we are speaking directly on what we need in order to consider
Okay, well, so we can talk about
one
that.
member of your committee to sit on that task force. So we are under those discussions. I would like to continue with those discussions, but tonight in the council meeting it would not be.
Okay, well, we're gonna meet with you tomorrow then. Okay, for sure?
Yeah, oh yeah, I'll email you after this meeting as soon as I know what my calendar is,
Okay,
okay?
thanks.
Anyone else have any new information or questions about the what's on the agenda tonight?
Your worship, council, my name is Audrey Durham, I live on 1637 Columbia Avenue. I don't know what's on the agenda tonight, so I'm here to ask a question on why does city council staff let the Safe Injection Advocacy Group speak as a delegation, the Trail Community Action Team to council, and refuse to let the Resident Business Advocacy Group, Trail N2, speak. We've asked for 2 delegations and
Actually, if I could. The Trail Community Action Team requested a delegation with us, like probably a month before, 6 weeks before the meeting. So they came as a delegation with a presentation, information to share with us, and a request.
I'm familiar with delegations.
Okay.
We put one in maybe last November and we were turned down. I put them in too when I was representing the chamber. I put in delegations. We put another one in, I believe it was June the 6th, and we were turned down again. So I'm wondering, pardon?
It was June the 10th.
Oh, June the 10th,
Yeah.
okay, so we just were turned down, so. And I didn't ask to be a delegation at this meeting, I was cause I don't know who's before me, I mean, so. Yeah, so
Okay,
I'm just
going to get
wondering,
Ms. Butler to answer that question.
Yeah, I'm concerned that you're saying that your delegation request in June was turned down. It was not turned down. I offered an alternative so we could start working on a solution-based way of handling your concerns. And that's where it's sitting right now, and that is the discussions that I'm having with Ms. Finley at this time. So we did not
So
turn
it's still
down
on
the
the table.
delegation. We are discussing an alternative to having delegations. Delegations are presentations.
I'm
I think you
familiar
guys
with
were, in your
PowerPoint.
delegation, you asked about collaboration,
Mhm.
and we're looking for a solution that would look for collaboration and working together, other than having you come and make formal presentations that are just, question-based, complaint-based, whatever you wanna call it. So we're looking for solution-based. So that is the conversation that I'm having with Tanya at this time.
I received a copy of it, Tracy, it was sent to Tanya and I. And so delegation was no longer on the table in my reading it,
And
and
I would say that your reading of it is incorrect. I'm just looking for a better way.
okay,
Then
so we're
delegation.
still on the table as
No,
an
you're not at
option.
this time until we finish the discussions about the community task force. So that we can look for solutions versus delegations.
So they were turned down.
Thank you.
So we weren't turned down.
So they were turned down.
Turned down because you asked for a delegation in July or in September. So we're having some discussions before that.
Or the next available, time slot. I did put that in as well.
Okay. Well, you haven't been turned down, Audrey.
Okay, I will forward, did council all get a copy of that? From
Council
Tracy?
will not get a copy of that, that's through me as the corporate officer of this
Okay,
organization.
so maybe I've got looped blue eyes today, so,
Okay,
okay.
thanks Audrey. Anybody have any new information to bring to council tonight before we move on? Okay.
Just wondering if you've had a look at the fencing that has gone up around the shelter, because it was supposed to be privacy fencing and it's just a chain link open fence. Is something else gonna go on that? Yeah, because.
They're putting slats in, Margaret. They did the back today, so,
Okay,
So they're not finished yet.
because it looks awful.
yeah, it's just.
Okay, thank you. Okay, if there's nothing else, we'll move on with the agenda onto item 4.1. Under communications, we have the 2023 annual report, and we'll move that over to Colin. The clerk to talk about.
Mary Dorsey. So one particular piece of the community charter is that each municipality is to provide an annual report as another criteria to it. For the most part, it's an opportunity for the city to take a look back at all of the achievements during the year, challenges as well. And one of the main parts of it though is the financial statements. So for this year's annual report, when we look at it, certainly we had a number of great highlights when we think about just the work that was done over at Kinrake. In particular, just seeing the donation that we were able to receive from the Murphy Foundation and allowed us to get that up and operational, updated, quite a lengthy period of time since its last, since it was built. So that'll be a great facility. Also, when we did that work, we tied it in so that we'll be able to recover heat from it. And that's part of that larger project that you will see in the next number of years here, where we're able to get heat recovery and save a lot of GHG and also the power involved because we'll be recovering that heat and using the facility. Another major thing is that after a number of years hiatus, we were able to get Silver City Days back. I know that the Lord just went through another fantastic Silver City Days, but one thing about this document is that it tends to be quite delayed and sometimes in finishing up the year end and having to have it in the 6 months basically is when you have to have the report in for to council and having it received. So Grape Stock was great, and again, we just built on that and another great, fantastic year this year. On the financial statement side, one of the, as far as my CFO report, we talk about this year, we had pretty significant surplus, and there's a number of reasons for that. We were able to, on the investment side of income, we were able to garner a much higher rate than was expected at the time. You know that it can be a long time, and right now we're starting to see the rates come down, but there was a thought a year ago that the rates would start to come down, and so what we budgeted for interest income was certainly less than what we actually ended up getting, so that's the benefit of having some money in the bank and earning some good interest on it. That's not something that's happened over the last number of years, so that is a fantastic win for the city. One challenging piece, although it provided a surplus for us this year, Your Worship, was the RCMP contract. We have been understaffed for a number of years, and unfortunately that does create a surplus for us. However, I know that I speak for council and for the community, we prefer to have the officers in place doing the duty in our community. But it is one of the reasons why we were hired. But the other side of it is that we are seeing items like the activity at the airport, our pool being back, getting into this last year was a bit of a challenging year, but getting facilities back into a place where we're getting into a time frame where we are in that same pre-pandemic numbers of people attending. And obviously that will be hopefully a boon even in the current year with the new TRP that was signed at the end of the year, one of those other community highlights with Roslyn, bringing them into the fold with us and allowing them to enjoy our facilities. And so we appreciate that partnership with the city of Roslyn, and we hope that we can move that forward to a long-term contract going forward. On the utility side, we were able to have 1.4 kilometers of sewer line relined, and incredible technology when you think about it, that no digging up, as long as the pipe kind of has its structure still there, and that's sometimes one of the things that can make it challenging to do the relining, is that there's been a break or a bend in the pipe, and you have to dig that area up, fix it, but again, for kilometers of our sewer system, there's still that oval there, and they can go in and realign that, and without disturbing what's happening in the ground, without any machine, that would be very expensive, and it also keeps the asphalt on top of the highway, which tends to be one of the most expensive components of doing utility upgrades. We know that we were successful, although the work didn't get completed on the above ground portion of the groutage missing link. I think that many in the community will be seeing the excellent work that's being done, the finishing touches on the landscaping on the above ground portion of the groutage. Well, last year what we did get upgraded was the sanitary sewer, the storm sewer, and the water system. All the underground components are taken care of. We just have it being finalized now as far as the paving and whatnot. Again, city was able to take the advantage of this surplus and be able to put it into some of the reserves. We have pressure on the reserves, whether or not it's the inflationary cost of our capital, whether or not we also able to use some of the reserve to put it aside and pay off a loan that we had that had a much higher interest rate than some of the other interest-bearing loans that we had. So that's a benefit for the city, helps us to take that, make that an advantage for the residents of paying a lower interest rate, and or putting that money into the water fund, which I think will be very helpful as we move forward. We know that we've got an infrastructure deficit in the water fund itself, and putting in a significant amount of money this year into that reserve will help take the pressure off of increases that we do need in the water utility rates to be able to fund that ongoing capital infrastructure we're needing in the future. City has a pretty significant amount of debt that's outstanding, but that can be seen from the assets that you have. You look at that beautiful walking bridge. Yes, it's a beautiful walking bridge, but the benefit of having a combination of our other municipalities working together and being able to have that transfer a sewage main line going underneath there at the same time, so that we can get the product, the waste product from those communities all tied together and then off to our sewage treatment plant. Again, it costs a lot of money, but beautiful asset, but also functional in the sense that it is our main line for our sewer treatment on this side of the river. In addition to that, you think about the Riverfront Center, another big asset that we have, beautiful facility for both the museum and the library, but again, they were large debt pieces that were taken on. But you can see that in the current year, we're paying down basically almost $1 million per year in principal in debt, and it's one of the benefits of some of that borrowing being done when we have very low interest rates. We may see some challenges of that in the future because they do it in 10-year blocks, and as some of that debt becomes mature, there will be some pressure on some of the interest rates. But in the meantime, able to get some fantastic assets for the city and pay rather low interest rates. One of the major factors for the future here for the city is to get a strong asset management plan that's going to help guide us, help guide council and the decision making that we will need to be able to be financially strong with the resources that we have, because we want to keep the service levels at where we currently have them. We don't want to cut them back, but we also know that we've got a number of assets, whether they be recreational or utility wise, that will need a significant amount of funding into the future to make sure that we are able to handle what only development may come, but just even the current upgrades of infrastructure, that when you have a community that's as old as Trail, we are going to have utilities and whatnot that are very old and they need to be upgraded. So that's just a way that it is, and nice, I applaud council for being willing to increase the rates that they have, because we know that we're starting to tackle some of these major projects. I don't know if council has any questions. Again, there's some great photos of the different things that happened, and again, too, you kind of sit in your chair, you're like, wow, that's almost 18 months ago, some of the things that are happening here, it'll be easy to forget as we charge on to the next event or the next challenge that we face, but it is a good opportunity just to revisit the work that council and staff and our stakeholders have made in 2023.
Okay, thank you, Mr. McClure. Any comments or questions on the 2023 annual report? Oh, Councilor Benson.
Just a comment that it's clear a lot of work went into the report and it was beautiful, it was very easy to read, so I hope that the community is able to go on our website and find it, because it was really well done. So congratulations, well staff.
Yeah, thank you, great point, Councilor Benson and our communications coordinator, Claire Singh, have been a big part of directing it this year, and so it is, and I do hope that, because a lot of effort does go into it, and so it is a great document for council to have as well, for when they're meeting or talking with people, say, actually, no, we've been successful in a lot of areas, because I think a lot of times, unfortunately, you kind of get picked up for a lot of negative that's happening in the community, instead of the positive work that's being done.
Yeah, I wanted to say that too. I thought it was just a really well written report. I love the way she did the highlights of the work that we're doing and how it just made our community stand out the way it did. And I don't think any committee or any nonprofit organization like the Communities in Bloom, and everybody was mentioned in it for their work that they did, and it was just a really, really good positive report. And not afraid to talk about the stuff that we're still working on, which every community has. And the highlight of the missing link, the Grottage Avenue, I thought was just absolutely beautiful, and it's just gonna add so much to our, that walking area that we have with the walking bridge. So yeah, just a really big thank you to staff and everyone who was involved in that. So the recommendation is before you, and that is that the Council of the City of Trail receive and approve the 2023 annual report. Councillor Martin and Councillor Wilson, all those in favor? Thank you, carried unanimously. The next item on the agenda is the 2023 Statement of Financial Information, and I will pass this over to Mr. McClure.
Thanks, Mayor Jones. Again, another community charter expectation of providing this report. This report is one way of providing transparency. We understand that although someone may come and ask a question about what's happened here, this allows for the community to see, and again, the structure is such that the province has said that any elected officials, it's not just the municipalities, but it's school districts, it's colleges, all government entities have to fill out this type of document. Part of it's the main feature here is transparency of tax dollars. So here you're able to see, and the requirement is such that the politician side, you list out what their salary was and what benefits that they would have, or travel expenses and whatnot on the expense side. On the employee side, the threshold is $75,000. So if whatever employees we have over $75,000, we need to report them by their name, the dollar remuneration that they earned in the year, and then whatever associated expenses that they have. In addition to that, we are to break out those vendors that we spent $25,000 or more with, and also grants that we've provided that are over again that $25,000. One thing that I always found in doing this is how much round dollars, and when I say that, when you are spending taxpayer dollar inside the community, so if you look through the list of vendors, you see a lot of communities, a lot of trails or region vendors here, and so we get your tax dollars, we spend it on as much as we can on local entities here, they hire local staff, and then those dollars come back into our community. So as much as there's tax pressure going on, it's going back out to those entities, which again hire staff, which again get buy homes here, get buy their groceries at the different entities, and it's a really good thing to see when the dollars are spent in-house as best as one can. Again, you've got to have your Fortis, you're gonna have some of these other ones where it's not really an option. Yes, but they also have a Fortis building here, so we know that we do get the benefit, much like some of the other communities, we have a big Fortis benefit here where we've got employees and a building, so we know that dealing with property taxes, they've got employees that are living in the area, so again, round dollars on that side. The other part on the transparency is that you would want, as an outsider, if you wanted to see something that really popped, if you had a counselor that had $50,000 in expenses, that might be something that may allow you to ask questions. And that would give you the opportunity, through looking at that and seeing that analytically, you could say, hey, I would like to know more about that, and of course, someone can do that through a freedom of information request. And the other side of it is that even on employees, if an employee is outside of what would be maybe the normal wage for that individual, lots of reasons for that. Can be situations where there was a large payout of say vacation that they had banked up and were unable to take, or potentially someone had a lot of overtime just based on the fact that we've had a number of employees off city because they're not well, and then having to spend overtime to make sure that the job is done and the services are continuing to be provided to our residents at our different facilities and or on job sites. So again, I don't know if council has any questions on this. It is pretty straightforward. It is a document of transparency, and it is an expected and required document for all government entities of BC.
Thank you, Mr. McClure. Any questions? Okay. The recommendation is before you, and that is that the council of the City of Trail approve the statements and the schedules included in the City of Trail Statement of Financial Information for the year ended December 31st, 2023, and produced in accordance with the Financial Information Act. Councillor Benson, Councillor Hansen, all those in favor? Thank you, carried unanimously. So we have a few items. Item number 5, the adoption of the Governance and Operations Committee recommendations from June the 10th, 2024. And we'll do these separately. The first one is the Trail and District Arts Council, the request for rental waiver. And the recommendation is to approve a rental waiver estimated at $680 for the Trail and District Arts Council use of Gyro Park and city equipment for the Music in the Park nights and markets. Councillor Wilson, Councillor Hansen, all those in favor? Thank you. And 5.2 is the Kootenai South Métis Society request for rental waiver. And the recommendation is that council approve a rental waiver estimated at $268 for the Kootenai South Métis Society's use of Gyro Park and city equipment for the annual National Indigenous Peoples' Day celebration. Councillor Martin, Councillor Wilson, all those in favor? Thank you, carried unanimously. Sisters of Colombo, the request for rental waiver. And the recommendation is that council approve a rental waiver estimated at $1,680 for the Sisters of Colombo's use of the Cominco Gymnasium and city equipment for the 100th anniversary dinner and dance game. Councillor Wilson, Councillor Hansen, all those in favor? Carried unanimously, thank you. So the bylaws, we will move to 6.2. The zoning amendment bylaw number 2944, 2024 for adoption. Ms. Butler, did you want to comment or anything on this bylaw before we move it?
Your worship, City Council, just that this is the bylaw that's going to incorporate the legislative changes that have come down for the province for secondary suites and carriage houses and that type of zoning, so. Thank you.
Thank you. Any questions before we move to recommendation, Councilor Benson?
So this one is due by the end of this month,
Correct.
so we're good for timing, and like what does the next steps look like?
Next steps is we will take this amending bylaw and have it incorporated into our current zoning bylaw under a new format. And then it'll be in place. The next step after that is our OCP bylaw. And so we've got the committee now, and we will be moving forward with that and going to public input sessions on OCP this fall. And that needs to be adopted by the end of the year.
Okay, thank you. So if there's no other questions, we'll move to the recommendation. And the recommendation is that the zoning amendment bylaw number 2944, 2024 be adopted. So motion, Councillor Benson and Councillor Martin, All those in favor? Thank you, carried unanimously. On to council committee reports, and Councillor Benson, you're up first.
Thank you, Your Worship. On June 13th, along with yourself and Councillor Hanson, I attended the Training District Chamber of Commerce Business After Business event, which was hosted by Community Future South Kootenay. On June 15th, I attended the Indigenous Peoples' Day celebration in Gyro Park, hosted by the South Kootenay Métis Society, and I proudly brought greetings on behalf of yourself and council. It was a really wonderful day. Eagle Bear Spirit drummers from Creston performed along with the All My Relations Indigenous Dance Group from Kamloops. It was freezing cold, but it was still a good turnout, and it was a really special event. I really liked attending that one. On June 17th, I attended a nominations committee meeting for the 2026 BC Winter Games. We have almost secured our board of directors for the upcoming games, and I'm looking forward to some announcements coming up soon. One thing I've learned throughout these meetings is that it's going to take a lot of volunteers from our community to make these games a success. And I hope that people consider volunteering in some capacity as we get closer to 2026. On June 18th, I attended the AGM for the Lower Columbia Community Health Center Network Society, along with yourself and Councillor Hanson. This committee kicked off in 2019. In 2022, they partnered with Selkirk College on a research project with rural pre-meds to determine what new grads want in terms of career after they graduate with their medical degree. And two key things that they took away were not to own their own business and also not to own their own practice. So the community health center model seems to really work well with the new graduates and allow them to do what they do best, which is working with our public and letting the society manage the building and HR. So I learned a lot. It was my first, I guess, information session about this, and I think it sounds like a really interesting idea. On June 20th, I attended the Working Poverty Community Table, where we had a presentation from Anastasia French on the BC living wage. We also workshopped 3 themes that arose from the February sessions that we attended: public transportation in our area, a community hub, and food security. I had to exit early. So I sat through the public transportation piece, and I signed up to be on the working committee for that. On June 24th, which is today, I attended the Community Safety Task Force. We had an update from Chief Derby. So year to date, we've had 109 overdose responses. This is down from last year, which was at 178. At the same time, mostly impacting the downtown core. 32 burn complaints year to date. And their staff and their volunteer firefighters are doing a big roundup to wildfire season. And the excavator will be on site tomorrow to start the setup of their training facility in the Gulch. And just so the public knows, the training center will be using a propane fire. They won't be burning wood or old couches there. And there's currently category 2 and 3 firemans in the Southeast Fire Center. That's my report.
Okay, thank you, Councillor Benson. Councillor Butler sends his regrets, so we're on to Councillor Cashel.
I have to follow Councillor Benson. Thank you for that thorough committee updates. I have nothing to report, Mayor Jones.
Okay. Thank you, Councillor Cashel. And on to Councillor Hanson.
Thank you, Mayor Jones. On June 11th, I chaired the supportive housing meeting, and then dipped out of that meeting to attend the knowledge sharing and learning meeting with the Trail Health and Environment Committee with yourself. June 12th, attended the Teddy Bear Picnic, as well as the Downtown Trail Improvement Committee meeting. And they should be finding out shortly if they got their grant approved for the crime prevention through environmental design studies. So fingers are crossed on that. And then on the 13th, attended the Chamber of Commerce Business After Business at Community Futures, which was great. And then the 18th, the Lower Columbia Community Health Center AGM with Councillor Benson and Mayor Jones. On the 19th, toured downtown and the shelter and did a bit of a walking tour with Chief Derby, Sergeant Wasenovich, Majority Council, Kenneth Scott from BC Housing, Sao McClure, and our communications coordinator. And it was great because both Sergeant Rusenowicz and Chief Derby had some really great feedbacks on logistical operations, which the builder and BC Housing actually were very happy to receive that information and make some operational changes to how things are to be done there, which was nice to see that they wanted our feedback, which was good. On the 19th, followed by that, we had the Trail Health Environment walking tour. So Councillor Martin was able to attend and learn a bit more about the Trail Health and Environment program and kind of how it all operates. And then that night, we actually had our quarterly meeting on the Trail Health and Environment program with the committee, as well as put forward the application that council is aware of to the Union of BC Municipalities Business Excellence Awards for the strategic plan that was developed, as well as an application to host a clinic showcasing the Trail Health and Environment Program's partnership, as well as the Trail Health and Environment Committee and how everything works and operates together. That is all from my report.
Okay, thank you, Councillor Hanson. Councillor Martin.
Thank you, Mayor Jones. On behalf of council, I attended the following meetings. On Tuesday, June 11th, BC Hydro operations update on the Columbia River system via Teams. Lowest levels since 1970 because of low snowpacks last winter. The province has a BC Drought information portal site, which is interesting. It's droughtportal.gov.bc.ca, which provides up-to-date information on BC's drought conditions. That'll be very important for folks to monitor as the season rolls on. On Wednesday, June 12th, I attended an RDKB Utilities meeting via Teams. Discussion on Beaver Valley Water Service, Christina Lake Water Utility Service, Rivervale Water and Street Lighting Service, East End Regional Sewer Service. On Wednesday, June 12th, RDKB board meeting via Teams. They adopted various policies, received a staff report for flood mitigation purposes in Grand Forks, and approved various grant and aid requests. On Thursday, June 13th, I attended an RDKB Liquid Waste Management Plan meeting in Trail. Received another update on the status of the Columbia Pollution Control Center upgrade contract. Information is still in camera, but should know more this week. On Monday, June 17th, I attended a West Kootenay Boundary Regional District Hospital Board executive meeting via Teams. The discussion was regarding the 2024 UBCM priority topics and future meeting locations. Both topics will be discussed this Wednesday at the annual board meeting. Tuesday, June 18th, I attended a rural resident retention and attraction webinar via Teams. 117 participants from around the province. There's a new guidebook that was released that day regarding the program. 63-page document that I would recommend you read if you have the opportunity. Tuesday, June 18th, I attended an RDKB East End Services Committee meeting via Teams. Metal Tech Alley presentation. It's the same one we received at council. We had a presentation from the Central Kootenay Invasive Species Society. A discussion on the BC transit shelters, which the committee is currently waiting for an email with locations and recommendations in the city of Trail. Locations and Trail and recommendations as to which shelter BC Transit recommends. We also had an update from the South Kootenay Greenlink meeting that was held earlier this month. On Tuesday, June 18th, they attended a provincial hazard update via Teams. Right now, the province is in good shape as of the meeting date with how the weather has been, and we'll see what Mother Nature brings us in the coming months. On Tuesday, June 18th, I attended a BC Hydro operations update on the Duncan Dam via Teams. Again, low snow levels is equaling low levels of water. On Wednesday, June 19th, with Mayor Jones and other members of council, and Seal McClure and Kenneth Scott from BC Housing went on the tour with the RCMP and the fire department of the new temporary shelter in the alley. For myself, I'm very optimistic about how it will run. They appear to want to work with emergency services in the city to refine a few items that were discussed on site. On Wednesday, June 19th, I attended the Trail Health and Environment Program tour with Mayor Jones and Councillor Hanson and members of the Trail Health and Environment Program, and I continue to be very supportive of this program. Thursday, June 20th, Trail Historical Society meeting, Trail Library. The main concern of the committee is the old bridge being designated as a historical site. They're going to put in a request to present to council their feelings and desires about the bridge, I'm assuming for September. On Monday, June 24th, today we had a community safety task force meeting, committee room with 12 members in attendance. We discussed the motion regarding the proposed additional 7-day-a-week bylaw officer coverage. And the committee has chosen to defer the motion until the new temporary shelter is open to see if there is a need for the extended coverage. That's it for my report. And feel free to contact me anytime should you have any questions regarding these meetings.
Thank you, Councilor Martin. Oh, go ahead.
Did the conversation regarding cameras also come up, or was it just specifically about the bylaw?
Just go back.
Okay, is cameras still on the
My
list?
mistake, we didn't bring that one up, did we?
No, we didn't.
The chair.
Is that everything for Councilor Martin? Thank you.
I can find something else.
Go ahead, Councilor Wilson.
Nothing to report, I've been away, but it just feels good to be back, I missed you all, and looking forward to get caught up on everything, so.
It's hard being a dad.
I'm learning, so, it's nice to be back, with nothing to report.
Okay, thank you, Councilor
Thank you.
Wilson. Well, you know what, there's not much here that I haven't done without you guys. So just a couple of things that I did wanna touch on. I really want to, and I know I've said this before, but the teddy bear picnic, I just really felt that was such a valuable event for our young parents, our, you know, grandparents were there, aunts and uncles. It was just great to see such a good turnout for that event. There were so many programs and different booths and community organizations, and it was just really, really informative. And I thought that the younger parents and well, just about everybody there, because even the organizers were going around to the different booths and getting information and seeing all the kids out there, the younger kids just having so much fun, and the parents learning everything they have to about their children's health. I just thought it was a really, really important day, and I really appreciated the effort that was put into it. Just wanted to talk about the ending working poverty roundtable that Councillor Benson and I went to. The transit, again, was a very big issue that kept coming up at every table, along with the community hub and the community, safety?
Food security.
Oh, yes, sorry, thank you, food security. And the transit situation is very, very difficult for people living in poverty and trying to find the way to get groceries, get to their jobs, to get childcare. It's a really difficult situation, you know, for people that can't afford a car or phone a taxi. And again, this morning, we had another meeting on it, and we will be getting a delegation together to go to the regional district and present on behalf of the Ending Poverty Group. And we hope to be doing that in September because it's an important issue, even for employers and, you know, employees trying to get to work. So it's one of the issues that has come out of the roundtable discussions that I'm personally looking forward to bringing, you know, to the regional district to see if there's anything that they can do to help support us. I wanted to mention that I did have the opportunity to attend the Kootenai Columbia Learning Center graduation ceremonies. And again, an absolutely wonderful event to be able to participate in. The graduates in that school go through a lot of difficult personal issues during their journey towards graduation, and it was just so great to see them, you know, cross the stage to get their certificates. They had a larger group graduate this year. It was one of their largest ones. Castlegar was included. So yeah, very exciting time for them and their families, and it was great to watch. And I also attended the J. Lloyd Crow graduation ceremony and got to present the certificates on behalf of the city of Trail, which was a lot of fun again. This again was their largest graduation class this year. I want to say there's like 340 students, yeah, it was great. And lots of awards, over $179,000 worth of awards given out. And Councillor Wilson was there as well. And so that was a very nice and very warm event. So it was great to be a part of that. I just want to, I don't want to repeat everything that everybody else said. I just want to remind everybody too that the Canada Day July 1st celebration at Gyro is going to be a really fun family event. Make sure you bring your lawn chairs. There's going to be music and face painting, and yep, it's just going to be a fun event for the community. So again, thank you, council, for all you do in the community and for the city, and it's really appreciated. And yeah, that's my report for tonight. Any questions? So we'll move on to the consent agenda. And we have 5 items on the consent agenda. Is there anything on here that council would like to pull out for discussion? No? I would like to pull out 8.3. Minister of Housing, small scale multi-unit housing. Is there someone to second that? Councillor Benson, thank you. So I just wanted to bring this back to council because of the new information that we received on this. It was a letter from the Minister of Housing, and it talked about the importance of looking at these strata units in our community. I think that Ms. Butler would have more information on this because I've asked you to look into it. So I'm just gonna ask you if you could just share that with the council.
Yeah, so I think that, thank you, Your Worship, I think that coming down from the ministry is that, yes, they want us to increase, as many rental opportunities as we can within the city, but also on top of that is to not shy away from opportunities for diversification in our housing stock. I think Trail is very single family oriented. And so the message is pretty clear from province that not only are they looking for rental opportunities, which is primary, but also diversification within our housing stock, so that strata conversion is not something that they would be upset with. Of course, they want as many rentals as possible, but diversification is also something they're interested in.
Okay. Is there any questions? So I'm just gonna ask, what is the best way to deal with this item? Should we bring it back out and send it back to staff for more information, or?
No, at this time, Your Worship, I think staff will be bringing some policies forward on strata conversion for council to consider at a future meeting.
Okay, great, thank you. Okay, so the items for the consent agenda are before you. Can I have a motion to accept them? Councillor Wilson, Councillor Hanson, all those in favor? Thank you, carried unanimously. Any new business from council? Okay, so I've had a couple of questions and I just wanted to bring it up here quickly. We talk about the RV park and what's happening with that. I think we need to just bring that information out again because the public is asking about it.
Well, we just did do a CBC interview just last week. and the information is such that, the RDKB is going to need the location for the significant upgrade to the sewage treatment plant, so they need that sooner than later, and they will need it for a couple of years. So at this point in time, we'll be opening the campground. And I think that it'll be something that'll have to be looked at once the work is done and what needs there may be from regional district. It is a good reminder that the land is actually owned by the regional district of Green Mountain. And we said, so again, I'm not saying for sure that that's the last of the campground, but it will be in hiatus for a number of years. It is important to note that we do have the Creek, which is not that far away, which is a great facility for people to go camp, provincial campsite there down the river. And obviously we have some other locations in the area for camping, champion links as well.
Thank you. Yes, thank you for the information on that. And then I just have one other question from a citizen, and it was about the concession stand at Gyro. Are we able to do anything towards opening that up, or what it would look like, or?
Yeah, we, our acting director of Parks and Rec is in conversation with someone who is looking to take on and do work in the concession. Won't be ready right away, but the hope is be that it would be in the near future. They'll be opening up. I don't know the final touches as far as what the agreement is or where they're at with it, but there has been interest with an entity that wants to do the work that is.
Okay. And that's everything I have for tonight under new business. And the next item on the agenda is the adjournment. Someone want to make that motion? Councilor Wilson? Councilor Hanson? All those in favor? Thank you, unanimously. Thanks, everyone.
Thank you.